Hello, everyone. Let's talk about the beauty of no-thingness. Now, the only way to achieve this state is to have your creationary power within yourself and your willpower balanced. So let's talk about the creationary force within us. The creationary force is, the feminine aspect. It regards how we create thoughts and our control of that. The canvas that we make for our willpower as well. And what is constantly birthed through our mind. Our mind will produce a lot of thoughts, a lot of combinations of thinking that can either hinder us or help us. Controlling that, us being behind the mind, not the mind, is our ability to become the creationary force that we need for our soul to progress. And the willpower aspect upon which our mind, or through which our mind becomes fertile and is directed, can be directed, and identifying what our willpower is compared to what the mind just does by itself, and the willpower that we think is willpower, but really the impressions that have been given to us, that have been forced upon our will to direct our minds in a way that is not us. You need the will, and you need the creationary aspect to be balanced within yourself, the will being masculine and the creationary aspect being feminine. Those need to be balanced in order to achieve no-thingness within. So this is why meditation is remarkable, important, and vastly helpful. Without the ability to observe, then push out everything that our mind produces, thoughts, reactions to the environment, reactions to information. Even while meditating, we might have reactions to what we hear, or we might have certain lines of thinking that have hampered us in such a way that we think that whatever we think is us, but that's not quite true. We need to be able to push out the thoughts that just come of their own volition. And if we just gently push them out long enough, meditation and in reality, then our being will not be affected by previous thought patterns or previous uncontrolled or the uncontrolled creationary aspect, or the false willpower, the willpower that's forced onto us to make us form and control the creationary aspect in a certain way. So in regards to no-thingness, attachments, cravings for certain things, fears, and the lack of understanding of why we think the way we do and what comes to the surface, no-thingness can bring that. No-thingness can only be achieved once we bring these things under a balanced control. Because that feeling, who you are past what you look like, past, your reactions to things, sometimes we react to things so often in a certain way that it becomes a canal easily traveled by cheetah, the mind stuff. A lot of our canals in thinking are created by a lack of understanding of how to control the mind. And then our personality, our personhood, is defined by previous reactions rather than previous foundations of our own will with the creationary aspect. So, I always think of Shiva when I'm talking about things like this, because he's always in contemplation of the source, about the source, with the source. He's always in bliss. And his balance is the Divine Mother Kali Ma. And she is the apex mother, the vast mother. And he is the vast father, the vast will. And them together in somebody's heart can change quite a bit. Without the balance of these two things, Shiva and Shakti, or Shiva and Divine Mother Kali Ma, however you want to say it, the mind becomes hard to understand and not our own. The mind can become such an extension of ourselves that, do you have to think to move your arm? Do you have to tell your arm to move? Do you have to tell your lungs to breathe? Do you have to tell your heart to beat? You just do it. It just happens because it's such an extension intrinsic to who we are that we don't even take it into account. Someone who meditates and also someone who has controlled their mind, because they're not necessarily the same thing, controlled their will and controlled the creationary aspect, can control the nature of their mind as easy as moving their arm or leg, as easy as taking the next breath, as easy as the next heartbeat. When will and the creationary aspect are aligned, our mind is no longer something that torments us. It is no longer the storm or tumultuous. It becomes an instrument, a focused instrument. Imagine being able to control your own mind to the same degree that you can move your arms, assuming you're somebody who can move their arms or their legs. Imagine being able to control your mind that easily. It's hard for a lot of people to picture or realize or bring into actuality, because our mind, a lot of the time, it tortures us. But imagine it not being able to do so, because we control our mind and direct it so absolutely that it can't torture us unless we force it to, or unless we want it to, rather. And nobody wants to be tortured by their own mind. If we bring these things into balance, then the mind can be a tool that we focus to this or that. We can take in information without being affected by it. We can observe, catalog, understand, without being dragged down by even the worst negativity, whether it be happening to us or other people, viewing it in the world, viewing it through the news, absorbing information without that information taking you down just by your proximity or taking in of it, is a wonderful ability. One that I have not mastered completely, but seeing things, understanding, thinking about things, looking for solutions without becoming depressed or sad based on what you see or what you take in, but rather just adding it to the library of information. That is a remarkable ability. And that doesn't get rid of compassion by any means. You can feel for everyone in the world that you see going through something on TV or with your own eyes, with your own senses. You can feel compassion, and you can even feel sad. But that sadness doesn't become you. That sadness doesn't stop you. That sadness, that sad compassion, it's just there and vibrant without inhibiting you as an individual, as a person. A lot of these things are very, they seem like big ideas. They don't seem very practical. But I think that these things are actually the most practical and the most important for us to realize and come to terms with. if you can find a way to enjoy the sadness that's produced through your compassion, not enjoy it like you want people to be hurt or you like seeing people being hurt or anything like that, or hearing about it, but rather let that compassion make your heart shine brighter rather than making your mind dimmer or your emotions dimmer. It's that sacred heart, that lotus of the heart, that's the very center of our hearts, that even when something is sad, and it sparks compassion rather than torpor or stagnant or lethargic sadness. If you deflate because of your compassion, then it's not pure compassion. If you inflate with compassion, when you feel compassionate to other beings, then your heart only increases. And if you feel the same happiness through that compassion, when you see good things, when things make you happy, that you see good people benefiting, your heart also increases. These two things, they're both necessary, but also they can both increase your compassion, the vibrancy of your heart, both the sadness and happiness at what the rest of the world is feeling. They can both be aids to your heart. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. When we run from things that make us feel bad, we're running from trying to incorporate them within ourselves and accept them. Accept them as part of us because everyone else is a part of us. And incorporate them so that it adds to your knowledge and adds to your heart without making you a miserable being. And always remember that if something makes you feel bad and sad, it's not really that thing's fault, that person, place, idea, information. It's our inability to incorporate it into our understanding and even find a solution within ourselves for that incorporation. Maybe not find a solution externally for other people, but find a way to incorporate it within ourselves that doesn't make us feel lethargic or drag us down, make us unhappy, sad. A lot of the time we run from these things because, certain things do make us sad. But we stop running when our heart starts increasing. And for our heart to increase, we must have the willpower and the creationary aspect within ourselves, the masculine and the feminine, in balance. We must be able to achieve that no-thingness, where reactions to the sensory world, this is why meditation is very important, no longer bring a reaction. They bring evaluation and understanding. And understanding and compassion have to live side by side. That's why we can't run from things. We have to understand them. And if they make us feel sad, it shouldn't be, we should find a solution. And if there's something wrong within ourselves, we shouldn't run from it. The idea of, if there's something in our lives we don't like, and what we truly want, and we think that we know what we truly want, isn't being achieved, we should see that there's something wrong with me. There's got to be a solution. Rather than being sad about something being wrong with us, we can think, there's something wrong with me, but there's got to be a solution. The solution is not running from it. Something else. I think I'll make another video pretty soon about, what helped me realize this, about, not being satisfied with either extreme in certain circumstances or anything in between. Like at my old job, I'd complain in my head about being too busy, too much work, or too little work at my old job. I was bored with too little work, But when there was too much work, it felt like there was just too much to do. But in both places, I was sad. I was dissatisfied. And everything in between also dissatisfied me. You have to learn to really listen to yourself, though, because a lot of time we'll claim that we feel this way or that way when we're not really tapped into our heart. We don't really know how we feel. We have to look at how we feel. Really say, how does this make me feel? Why does it make me feel that way? Is this dissatisfaction related to something that has nothing to do with my surroundings or the situation that I'm in? Most of the time, it doesn't. But when you see a problem like that, address it inwardly. Don't be sad about it. Don't feel bad and just kind of like go off to entertain yourself or run away from the idea. Say, there's something wrong. Let me find a solution. That's the epitome of compassion and understanding and, honestly, spiritual intelligence. At any rate, this has been a bit of a rant, as you can tell. This has been the beauty of no-thingness, perhaps its capability. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this has been interesting. Hit that thumbs up down there. It really helps out the channel. Leave a comment. That also helps out the channel. And share this video wherever you like. Thank you very much, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day.